Hey Pier youth, my name is Titus, and I'm going to be going over an overview of Esther chapter 10 and a summary of Esther's chapter 6 through 10. So if you haven't already read Esther chapter 10 and reread Esther chapter 6 through 10, I encourage you to do so. Esther chapter 10 is only 3 verses long. It's the shortest chapter in the book of Esther. And it starts out after chapter 9, when Mordecai and Esther had made the Feast of Purim a holiday. King Xerxes imposed a tax throughout the land. And it says that all of his great achievements and of the greatness of Mordecai are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Media and Persia. And it says that Mordecai the Jew was second in command to the king. So he took Haman's spot, and he had authority of that next to the king. And he was great among the Jews because he cared for his people, and he was a friend to all of them. And we see throughout the book of Esther that God uses great leaders like Esther and Mordecai to save the Jews. So that was chapter 10. Now I'm going to move on to a summary of Esther's chapters 6 through 10. It starts out when King Xerxes is like, I want to honor someone. So he asks Haman, what should I do to someone I want to honor? So Haman, thinking it was him, he thinks of something really honoring. And then he tells it to the king, and the king's like, you do that to Mordecai. And Haman's super mad because he was just going to ask the king to hang Mordecai, and the reverse occurred, and Mordecai was being honored. So he was humiliated, and then we see that Haman went to Esther's banquet that she'd prepared, and Esther revealed Haman's plot to destroy all the Jews, and then Haman was hanged. And then in chapter 8, if you remember back in chapter 3, the order that Haman had put out to destroy the Jews was still in place, even though Haman was dead. And it was signed with the king's signet ring, which means the order can't be revoked. So that order was still in place. So Esther goes to the king, and she's weeping and begging the king to make another order that authorizes the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. And the king says, yes, that can happen. And then this day that the Jews' enemies were about to destroy the Jews, the opposite happened. The Jews destroyed their enemies, and the fear of the Jews came upon all their people. And Mordecai told the people to keep it as a holiday, the Feast of Purim, because it was a time that went from sorrow to gladness and from mourning to joy. And then in chapter 10, the greatness of Mordecai, and he was a good leader to all the people. So yeah, we see that in the book of Esther, God uses great leaders to accomplish his work, like Esther and Mordecai, to defeat Haman and save the Jews. So my challenge to you guys would be thinking, how can God use you? Whether it's being a servant or as an encouragement to someone, just think about how God can use you in this quarantine. So yeah, that was my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys soon.